Oh, yeah. Oh, he cracked the Dothy. It's finished. Hold that thought.
Reaches into the graveyard, rips him back.
Get him out of here.
It's the electric boogaloo.
Pretty good.
What is going on? Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Idiot Brewing Company. It is me, TK. That's July. That's Chris. Say hey, people.
Hey, people.
Hey, people.
Yeah. We are back with another brew episode today. We are brewing a suggestion from our lovely Idiot July, which... don't look around. Yeah, we're talking about
you.
Oh, God.
You suggested.
So I'm going to pass it off to them to give us a little intro on this amazing commander.
All right, everyone. So today we're talking about Alesha, who smiles at death. Now, you all might be familiar with this commander. She's been around for a while. But today I wanted to talk about Alesha because, especially with the new introduction of a lot of new Modern Horizons 3 cards, I wanted to look back at Alesha, who I've always been a fan of. My friend Austin has been on Alesha for years. I wanted to take a look at where Alesha is now, look at where Mardu is right now, and kind of take Alesha in a new direction, see what the new card pool has offered Alesha. And yeah, I think if we want to, Chris, you want to go ahead and start us off with what you brought to the table for Alesha? Because I think it's it's fair to say that we all probably brought different decks to the table. Alesha is a very versatile commander, and there's a lot of different ways to build it.
Mm-hmm. Alesha has this really cool keyword, which is First Strike, and the secondary ability that says, whenever Alesha, who smiles at death, attacks, you may pay 2 hybrid Orzhov mana, that's white and black. If you do, return target creature card with power 2 or less from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. She is a base power 3/2. It's a very silly commander. I have seen Alesha decks be brewed before, mostly in like a casual setting, and they've been some powerhouses at a casual table. I can't lie. There's a lot of hilariously broken 2-power creatures that are out there, as we may know. So I'm going to go through my list personally. The game plan I kind of am doing with this Alesha deck is very combo heavy. I'm focused on one of 2 to 3 different combos. My goal is to get those out, hopefully in a turbo-ish plan before other people can win. Alesha is still a little slower than most of the other turbo decks out there, which is why I kind of hesitate to say that this is my turbo Alesha deck. She is turbo in the way that I have my game plan. I'm going to follow my game plan, and I don't really care what you guys do. I'm going to try to stop you from stopping me, but other than that, I'm not really going to stop you from winning, if that makes sense. All right, so for win lines on this deck, I am implementing creature combos specifically. The most prevalent creature combo that I am going for is going to be a Kiki-Jiki, the Mirror Breaker, and Feldar Guardian, or Zealous Conscripts. Kiki-Jiki has tap, put a token that's a copy of target non-legendary creature I control onto the battlefield. That token gains haste, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next end step. This with either Feldar Guardian, which will flicker Kiki-Jiki, allowing you to tap, make a copy of Feldar Guardian, and create an infinite loop to make infinitely hasty 1/4 Feldar Guardians to either swing out at the table and kill everybody immediately. Or the same idea with Zealous Conscripts. When Zealous Conscripts enters the battlefield, gain control of target permanent until end of turn, untap it. So with Zealous Conscripts enter the battlefield trigger, I get to untap Kiki-Jiki, tap again, repeat loop until I have infinite creatures onto the battlefield. Kiki-Jiki is nice with Alesha in being a 2/2, and Kiki-Jiki is not nice with Alesha in the fact that Alesha brings it back to the battlefield tapped and attacking. So we've got a couple different workarounds that allow us to hopefully use this ability effectively mid-combat. I don't necessarily need to win with swinging all these creatures because I have different effects that care about creatures either entering the battlefield or leaving the battlefield. These are going to be your Blood Artists, your Corpse Knight, your Cruel Celebrants. These all have basically when a creature enters the battlefield or leaves the battlefield or dies from the battlefield or jumps away off of a train, deal 1 damage to your opponent, or each opponent, depending on. So my goal is to make infinite creatures. Either they sacrifice at their end step or they just kill the table outright just from entering the battlefield altogether. Another win line I do have is going to be Abdel Adrian lines. This is a little bit harder to do with Alesha, and the fact that Abdel is a 4/4, and Alesha's going to look at that 4/4 and go, "What are you doing, brother? What are you doing in my graveyard? I can't do anything with you." But luckily,
she didn't invite him to the party.
Yeah, she did not invite him to party. He brought cupcakes. He's sitting there like, "Come on, man, just let me in." But she said, "No, you get to stay right in the graveyard."
Sound very personal.
They have a weird beef.
Yeah. One thing that is good is his twin brother Leonin Relic Border. This guy is a 2/2 and effectively does the same thing. That effect is whenever Leonin Relic Warder, I'm going to use that because that is what you can pull back from the graveyard. Whenever Leonin Relic Warder enters the battlefield, you may exile target artifact or enchantment. Whenever Relic Warder leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this will go infinite with either Animate Dead or Necromancy. Essentially, with them being in your graveyard, you get to say, cast Animate Dead, target Leonin Relic Border. When it enters the battlefield, the enter the battlefield trigger is going to target Animate Dead, removing Animate Dead, sacrifice Leonin Relic Border. Leonin Relic Border leaves, Animate Dead comes back, does this infinite loop of, like we said before, which we really like, enter the battlefield, or sacrifice triggers, which will then trigger my Blood Artist, trigger my Corpse Knight, trigger my Ellis Elcor Sadistic Pilgrim, because I jam-packed my deck full of these things. As a tertiary win con, I do have a new card, which is kind of showing it and rearing its ugly head into the CDH world, and that's going to be Chthonian Nightmare. Chthonian Nightmare is a really cool reanimation tool that we now have access to. And boy, does it grab Dockside by the scruff of the neck and say, "Come on, baby, we're going infinite again."
Oh no, we broke Dockside.
We broke Dockside. We finally did it. We finally found a way. Essentially, with Chthonian Nightmare and Dockside, if you can make at least 5 treasures and you have another creature that costs 3 or less mana, you can do a loop of sacrificing Dockside and the other one and bouncing back Chthonian Nightmare to hand, replaying it, and gaining infinite treasures and infinite energy. From there, you can then proceed to bring back anything from your graveyard. If you have any creature in your graveyard, as long as you have the energy cost to cover that and a creature to sacrifice to start or to get it back, you're good. We're good to go there. So I can bring back my Mentor the Meek, or more importantly, the Orcish Bowmasters. Starting that nice little loop with Dockside Orcish Bowmasters is just going to net me infinite treasures and infinite enter the battlefield, deal 1 damage abilities. We've got a couple interesting ones. It being in Mardu, you don't get your traditional Risic Studies, Risic Remoras. You do have access to one that I think is really cool, which I stated earlier, is Mentor the Meek. Mentor the Meek is a 3-drop 2/2, so you get to bring it back with Alesha. Whenever another creature with power 2 or less enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 1. If you do, draw a card. This is kind of my answer to Risic Study. I'm just going to, all my little dudes, basically a majority of them are 2 toughness or less. So when they ETB, if I have that extra mana lying around, because I'm in Mardu, I'm not going to be interacting with people, we'll pay that, draw a card. Pay that, draw a card. Hopefully throughout a normal CDH game, this should be drawing me a solid amount of cards to kind of keep up with the table, keep up with the fact that I'm going to be dumping my hand into the graveyard to hopefully fuel Alesha's ability. Other different value things I have being in Mardu, I did not want to do Smothering Tithe because I don't make that much mana, so tapping out for 4 seemed like a lot for me. I went more on the instant and sorcery pitch to draw card effects to kind of help keep me in that mid to late game effect. So I've got Thrilling Discovery, which is I gain 2 life. I may discard 2 cards. If I do, draw 3 cards. Thrilling Discovery, Tormenting Voice. Cards like this are going to allow me to pitch the things I don't want to necessarily cast to the graveyard, draw into a couple more cards, hopefully some creature removals to make sure Alesha can kind of get in there and get her ability off, as well as putting the cards I don't want to cast onto the battlefield with Alesha's ability. Other value engines I do have are definitely some of my tutors. Alesha doing what she does, you get access to a really cool suite of tutors that are Entomb effects. You get your True Blue Entomb, which is just 1 mana instant speed, put it into the graveyard. You also do get Unmarked Grave, which you can search your library for a non-legendary card, put it into your graveyard, activate Alesha, get it on the battlefield. The real fun one, all my Anala players love this card, is Buried Alive. It's 3 mana sorcery, search your library for 3 creature cards, put them into the graveyard. Nice and noticeable include. Master of Cruelties is a 1/4 first strike death touch. Master of Cruelties can only attack alone. Whenever it attacks a player and it isn't blocked, that player's life total becomes 1. Master of Cruelties assigns no combat damage this combat. So you can never kill people with him, but you sure can make them regret playing with you. I really did focus on being able to activate Alesha safely. So I did do a large suite of removal spells. We do have we have Abrade, Deadly Rollick, Path to Exile, Swords, RAB, Pyroblast to kind of clear the way to make sure that I can get Alesha in. If I can't get Alesha in, I've got Reconnaissance, which is a nice little 1-drop enchantment. Pay 0 mana. Love that. Remove target attacking creature you control from combat and untap it. So you get 2, declare Alesha as an attacker, go into the trigger, bring the creature back. Both of them are tapped and attacking, but pay 0, bring them right back. We're all good. Free creature.
I love this card so much.
Another fun thing I did get was Thieves' Tools. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. I equip it to Alesha. She is power 3 or less. She'll never get blocked. I can safely, freely kind of get into combat and not have to worry about her getting removed via combat damage, which is kind of a hard stipulation to build around, honestly. Another noticeable include I did add was Cultists of the Absolute. That's just another reason to why you're not going to block Alesha. She's got flying, she's got menace, she's got first strike and death touch. You're gonna lose your creature if you try to get rid of this Alesha by blocking it via combat damage.
Yeah, as a new Sisei convert, Cultists of the Absolute is sick. Crazy card.
And it makes her big.
It makes her big, and also the beginning of your upkeep, sacrificing your creature, that's not really a problem here because you're just going to get the creature back.
Exactly. You're just bringing it back,
so
and all the ones that care about your ETBs, I get to sack my dockside at my upkeep. Are you kidding me? Bring it right back during my combat step? That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you kindly.
I like that a lot.
That's nice.
Mm-hmm. I did put Immersion Zone in here because originally I did think you could do the Chthonian Nightmare at instant speed, but upon realizing that there's a very sad line of text there that says activate only as a sorcery, Emergent Zone kind of is in here just to crack on an end step, throw down a nice value piece that's going to help protect Alesha, and it'll probably get cut. I'm not going to lie. It's my pet card, and I have to suck it up sometimes and not use it. But it's a hard cut for me. I can't lie. I'm running one of the Surveil lands. Alesha likes Surveil lands. We get to put my Grand Abolisher in the graveyard. Move to combat. I've got a Grand Abolisher. Nice. Like that. Yeah, that's my deck. Any questions? Any likes? Any hates? You want to call me dumb? Want to call me really cool and really smart?
I mean, I do want to call you dumb, but that doesn't have anything to do with the deck.
Oh. Okay, I brought this on myself. Go ahead.
No, actually, I really like this list. I think that's pretty much, this list is exactly what I expected to see out of what we're expecting out of an Alesha list, is we're doing a lot of those aristocrat style effects. You included some payoffs to those that I had not even thought of. Like I mentioned before, Elias is a really good payoff for both gaining that life back and putting everyone else to 0.
Mhm.
It's very good. I love the Chthonian Nightmare lines. We're going to probably see those come up a lot more often. I mean, ever since Recurring Nightmare ate a ban, I think if it didn't eat a ban at the beginning of the format, then it definitely did very quickly.
Mhm.
And so Chthonian Nightmare is a marginally different, slightly more interactable way of doing Recurring Nightmare stuff, but not in a ways that are really all that meaningful. Some cards that I wanted to point out that I thought were really cute in this deck, and I think are really, really good in this deck, not just cute. Key to the City is pulling double duty here.
Mhm.
Not only are you filling your graveyard with the creatures that you want to be reanimating, but it is another way, as you said before, to protect Alesha in combat. Just can't block. But yeah, TK. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I like this. I like this list a lot. I think Abdel Adrian. You gave it a lot of flack at the beginning. I think it's an amazing card in here. I almost put more of those effects in there. I almost made this a World Gorger Dragon list just because I like that idea so much. It's very easy to interact with, of course, but you have so many things that become immediately really broken with it. Like Abdel specifically goes infinite with like a ham sandwich once you get other things with Animate Dead. Like I was even looking at like the use tool. Like if you just have that on the board, you just make infinite treasures as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You know, stuff like that. It's just like, oh, okay, cool. I'm just gonna do that. Or like any ETBs, Bowmaster, stuff like that. You just kill the table that way. Like it's kind of dumb.
You can also do because you can exile your mana rocks, and if you have Mentor the Meek, because you're making 1/1 dudes.
It's true. You get to draw out your whole deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like it just those kind of effects like is at least for me having seen Dihada as like the de facto Mardu list. Excuse me, in kind of CDH right now. Like I love those kind of loops, so I really like the fact that you included it. But other than that, yeah, this is sick, dude. Amazing job.
Let's see TK. I want to see yours.
My list. I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret. I don't play Mardu. I've never slapped these cards in this color combination together. If I got red or black, most of the time they either have all other colors or it's got blue on it. So this is a whole new territory for me. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this thing kicked my butt. But we tried really hard to make it what I would assume I would want a Mardu list to do in this deck. And so mine is way more of a mid-range package. Mid-range is all the rage these days. So being able to use all of the tools that are necessary to us in order to extend our game to the mid-range for value. Really, that's all Alesha is in this deck. It's just using her for value, getting creatures back, making sure that all of my creatures are immortal. As long as I got Alesha and 2 mana, girl, they coming back. And that's just what it is. Because of that, my creature package is way bigger than Chris's. I'm at 31 creatures.
Oh, dear God.
I tried to jam literally every single creature that I would want to get back on here. We got win cons galore. We got value pieces. I'm running stacks pieces. I don't even like stacks. I think stacks sucks, but it's here and it does it because I'm playing it. Thank you. Let's see. What else are we running here? In terms of win cons, I'm also running the Chthonian Nightmare package, as Chris is doing with the Dockside and the Orcish Bowmasters. That's really fun. I love that. Another thing that I'm running to supplement that is Chthonian Nightmare, Dockside, plus any other creature to make infinite mana, and then using that to do Gray Merchant of Asphodel loops. I love Crick. Crick does this a lot. And I get to do it here, and that's all I matters. Being able to like reanimate and do all the reanimate loops with Grey Merchant is pretty cool because you can just sap everybody. And you gain the life too, which is pretty neat. We already talked about Master of Cruelties. While that's not like a true win con, I think in this deck you can actually kind of lean on it a little bit more just because we also are running a lot of stacks pieces like High Noon, Deafening Silence, Archon of Emeria, Aven Mind Sensor, things like that to just kind of slow the game down enough to where opponents can't do anything. and then we just kind of hit them in the mouth, and it's really funny seeing players scramble when they are all of a sudden at 1 life, and there's so much on the board that can kill them. A swift breeze just hits them, man, and it's really funny.
Look at all those fetch lands in their hand. They're like,
I was gonna say, nice city of brass you got there.
Yeah, you just hit the control player in the mouth, and you force them to play control because they can't even advance their board state. You just you sit there, you be my counter magic. There you go.
That's really how we get blue in this deck.
Yeah, you just force them to play it. I'm also on Kiki lines as well. We're doing the whole Kiki Karmic Guide Felidar Guardian loop. If you've never seen that loop, you do Felidar Guardian. Well, I guess we can't necessarily do that. I'm getting this mixed up with another version of a list that I had, which I was playing Pride with this deck, and I had green in it, and I was able to do the pod stuff, but you can't. Oopsies, but like I said, I don't play with these cards, but we are running Revel Arc loops here. If you've never seen Revel Arc, it is a 5-drop, 4/3 creature elemental. It's got flying with Evoke, but the important part is whenever Revel Arc leaves the battlefield, return up to 2 target creature cards with power 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You can combo this with Karmic Guide and any sort of sacrifice outlet, like a Goblin Bombardment, which we play, or you can do literally any of the aristocrats that when something enters, sap everybody for 1 or anything, because Karmic Guide and Revel Arc are going to keep getting each other back from the graveyard as you kill them, which is really neat. To supplement that, we have all of the aristocrats. We've got Marionette Apprentice, which is one of the new ones, Corpse Knight, and then we also have some sacrifice outlets, Bartolome del Presidio, which is really neat, from Ixalan. Sacrifice. It's essentially Carrion Feeder. Had no idea that they reprinted that. That's a little wild. That's a little nuts. Yeah. What's even better is it also works with artifacts. So that's a little weird. Sus, if you ask me. Why did we need another one of those? That's kind of crazy. Also doing Village Bell Ringer. If you guys don't know, Village Bell Ringer says flash. Whenever it ETBs, untap all creatures you control. So this also goes infinite with Kiki Jiki, just like not Karma Guide. Sorry, the cat Felidar Guardian goes. You tap Kiki Jiki, you make Village Bell Ringer. It's gonna untap Kiki Jiki, and you just keep doing that. And then you got a whole bunch of hasty 1/4s, which doesn't sound threatening, but it's infinite. So in terms of value pieces and engines, I'm running Dihada. Like I said, when it comes to Mardu in CDH, that's the thing that I think about. Of course, there's other things like Timna, Dargo, things like that. But Dihada is where my mind goes. And I also like Dihada in this list specifically because it not only generates mana, but it also allows you to dump cards in the graveyard. And that's where I want some of these cards to be. Just -3, reveal the top 4 cards, put them in the graveyard. And if you get any legendaries that you do just want to cast, for example, some of our other value engines like Campbell, which if you guys have never read this card is insane against other decks, because if they do a dock side, guess what? We gonna do a dock side too. That's cool. We are also running Delny, which I saw you're running in your list, and of course, why not? Because Alesha cares about power 2 or less, so does Delny, and Delny makes it so that they can't be blocked by bigger things. So you can chump block it, sure, I don't care about that, but you're not gonna kill it, and that's all I care about. Yeah, Dauntless Dismantler is here as well, which is really cute because its power is 2 or less. So you can just make it so that everybody else's treasures does not matter. That's totally fine. I'm going I'm going to sack this, and then I'm going to swing. Oh, wow, it's back. Cool. Recast that dock side. I don't care. Yeah, and that's it in terms of like a lot of the value stuff. Some interesting cards just before we go into things. There's Dolmen Gate to solve kind of the issue with Alesha swinging and then being blocked. It prevents all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control. So I can hit you, but you're not gonna hit them. Not my babies. Nah, who protected? Other cards that I really like that are really cute. Reprieve, one of my favorite like white cards of all time. It's not necessarily a counterspell. It just says, "Hey, put that back, buddy." What are you doing?
Hey, now.
Try again.
Hey, I'm gonna return that. Angel's Grace, also one of my favorite white cards, and it has been seeing a lot more play lately. Just being able to be like, hey, oh man, is that a Thoracle? Dang, dude.
No.
And now you ain't got no cards in your deck? Ah, dude.
Dang, bro.
That's wild.
Dang, man.
So that's there. I'm also on Lightning Greaves just to make sure that Alesha, when it comes down, is protected and it's hasty. Oh, that's nice. Yeah. My land package is nothing special. I'm running just a smooth 27. I think the only one that is of note. I'm running all of the Surveil lands in my colors just because, like, yeah, I'm just going to look at the top. If it's something that I want in the graveyard anyways, if I don't feel like I'm necessarily going to cast it, cool, dump it, and that allows me to kind of churn through my deck at a little bit of a better pace. This deck folds to like a smooth rest in peace.
Yeah.
But until then, dude,
we thrive.
we're cooking. I'm eating up. I'm eating just yum yum yums. And
every deck has its silver bullet.
You know, and that's mine. But yeah, that's about it. How do you guys feel on that?
I think it's really sick. We were doing a lot of the same similar lines when it comes to wins. You do have the Leon Relic Warder. We're running all the same aristocrats. You do have the sacrifice outlets, whereas I just am gonna let them sacrifice naturally. So I think that's kind of cool that you have a way to say, I win right now. Right now I win. Thank you. That's very nice. Angel's Grace is something I did not think about at all. Being in Mardu, my deck would probably lose to a turn 2 Thoracle. So that's probably something I would want to implement if and when I want to, change this deck up and sleeve it up. The addition of the stacks pieces is very interesting. High Noon being something that kind of stops your opponents, but if I'm not mistaken, yeah, at any time you just say, okay, 5 mana, 5 damage to that thing, counter away, guys. Counter, go ahead, please. Stop him. Stop him, please.
Stop.
And I just dealt 5 damage to his face. He's weakened.
Exactly. He's weak. Get him.
It's crazy how you just ad-naus down to 5.
Ad-nausing into a High Noon, boy, you're crazy.
You're crazy.
One of the special ones I really do like is the Dihada. Being able to throw creatures into your graveyard. Dihada also says, hey, get a treasure for your troubles. I'm like, oh, well, thank you. These weren't troubles at all. I wanted these here, but I'll take the treasures. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really cool. Actually, I like it a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I love this as well. I think it's the idea that taking Alesha into more of that like stacks mid-range list is really, really smart. I mean, 31 creatures sounds like a lot until you look at the fact that every creature is putting in work. So there's not really a dead card in here. I did want to point out that you probably could get away with doing your weird Kiki stuff or anything like that if you wanted to throw Emergent Zone in at instant speed, because of the second line of text on Kemball, which we didn't really talk about, which is whenever one or more tokens enters the battlefield under your control, you do the like Zulaport effect or the drain effect, which means that your Kiki lines and your what was the other one? If you wanted to throw Abdel in, but more specifically, since you're already on Kiki lines, they're all making tokens.
I didn't read that card like that.
Yeah, it for sure is another quick down effect. But for tokens specifically.
Put it in, and I was like, yeah, dude, that makes sense. You get to reanimate, and then anybody does a dockside, cool, I make a bunch of treasures. I had no idea it was just doing the same thing that
it's another payoff specifically for the Kiki lines, which is really, really helpful if you can't combat for some reason.
Wow. Huh.
Accidental genius over here.
Yeah, you're big brain.
Dude was cooking, had no idea it was in the kitchen, bro. Insane. Yeah. With that being said, July, show me that list. Yeah.
Alrighty. I looked at this list, and I've tried once before on this channel and I'm going to try again for real this time. And I built an ad-naus list. I promise the CMC is not that bad.
If I see a peer into the abyss, all I'm saying, if I see a peer into the abyss,
There is
or
no
a
peer into the
Hullbreaker
abyss.
horror,
No.
we're
No,
gonna have a problem.
No. I did write this down so I could quickly refer to it. The average mana value of this deck without the ad-naus is 1.33, so relatively low. I think the highest mana value card in this deck, aside from obviously ad-naus itself, is Smothering Tithe. Everything else is really low to the ground because a lot of our creatures are really low to the ground. And following in a similar vein that you guys have done already, this is a creature heavy combo deck. So my game plan is I want to run ad-naus out as fast as possible, get those small creatures in my hand or wherever I need them to be, and just go from there. So what are those win lines? Well, first of all, we're playing the new card Warren Soul Trader. Warren Soul Trader is from Modern Horizons 3. It is a 2 and a black zombie goblin wizard. It is a 3/3. The more important part of it is the rest of the card, which is that you can pay 1 life, sacrifice another creature, create a treasure token. Everyone was talking about this card, and I was like, where am I going to throw this in? And I decided it was going to be Alesha because, again, we're so low on our CMC and our power of creatures, and a lot of these effects are going to be those aristocrat style things that we can just kind of afford to sacrifice those creatures and generate value off of it. So not only is Soul Trader a great value engine because you are just throwing your creatures away for Alesha to reanimate them later and getting treasure out of it, we are also on the core aspect of this combo is we are playing Gravecrawler. Gravecrawler is a 1 black zombie for a 2/1 body. It cannot block, but you can cast Gravecrawler from your graveyard for as long as you control a zombie, which, again, Warren Soul Trader is a zombie. So the combo there is you have both of them on the field, you sacrifice the Gravecrawler, get a treasure, you recast the Gravecrawler, sack it, recast it, go over and over again, call it a day. You're not generating anything off of just those 2 cards by themselves, so what you need is one of the payoffs, which, similar to you guys, I'm on Zulaport Cutthroat and I am on Blood Artist. Other than that, the other combo that I'm playing here, which is a little bit goofier, but because of Alesha, I think it might work. Again, it was working off of that Zulaport Blood Artist payoff, but it is Putrid Goblin, which is a 1 and a black zombie goblin 2/2 with persist. So when it dies, if it has no -1/-1 counters on it, then you bring it back to the battlefield with a -1/-1 counter. The combo with that card is you need a sacrifice outlet, you need Putrid Goblin, and you need this little instant from Strixhaven called First Day of Class. Now, First Day of Class is a 1 and a red instant. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on it, and it gains haste until end of turn. So the interaction there is that it's going to, when you sacrifice the Putrid Goblin, the persist trigger is going to try and resolve. It's going to put the -1/-1 counter on it. First Day of Class is going to see it and say, hey, you're going to school. You're getting all smart and you're getting all clever and everything. Here's a 1/1 counter like a little gold star, which counteracts the 1/1 counter, or the -1/-1 counter. Yeah, so we present that loop of Putrid Goblin's going to keep coming back with the canceling out of the -1/-1 versus the +1/+1, and hopefully at this point we have one of our drain effects through Blood Artist or Zulaport. Which again, when we're ad-nausing, the idea is we're putting as many cards as possible in here. That's also kind of why I'm okay with not having as many of those drain effects, because between ad-naus and then its sister Necropotence, one of those 2 cards is going to put those combo pieces into our hand as quickly as we can. Beyond that, a few notable includes Delny. Delny gets a lot of our creatures through, even if we don't need Alesha at a certain point. It gets our creatures through to swing, and if Delny is on the field with Alesha, we can, if we have the mana, get 2 creatures back, which could be our combos. Conqueror's Flail is a really fun card in this deck because we are doing a combat thing, so making Alesha a 4/3 just to do combat things, and also just having the silence effect is doing double duty here. As we've also discussed, this deck folds to anyone telling us we can't play with our graveyard. So I am playing several cards that can go ahead and get rid of those. We are doing a braid because I think the most common one we're expecting to see is either the Graph Digger's Cage or the Weathered Runestone. The other card I'm playing in here, which I don't think I saw on either of your lists, is Soul Partition, which was a instant from, I want to say it was Ixalan. No, sorry, it's all the way back in Brothers War. Soul Partition is a 1 and a white instant. It exiles any non-land permanent. Those the owner of that permanent can recast it, but they have to do it for 2 more, which sure they can get it back later, but usually you're holding this for the turn you want to go off. So it doesn't necessarily matter if they can cast it again, as long as when you are using the Soul Partition is the important part. Plus, if you happen to find like I'm playing the Aven Interrupter, which I'm kind of back and forth on, but it is a way to stack that amount of mana that you have to spend to get those things back out. And of course, we're playing Drannith Magistrate, because for Drannith Magistrate, we just reanimate, and that 3 toughness is kind of hard to kill. Aside from like the bigger creature decks like Kinnan, I don't think that Drannith Magistrate is going to die a lot in combat. And again, we have a ways to get it out of combat if we need to. In terms of other value pieces, we're on Deflecting Swat. I didn't put Deadly Rollick in because I wanted to keep the mana value as low as possible. We are playing a couple other value pieces, such as Timna the Weaver. She can be reanimated with Alesha, so getting in that card advantage that way is pretty useful. Lotho, again, we can reanimate with Alesha. Ragavan's in here. We are playing Blind Obedience if we find ourselves in a situation where we kind of want to slow the game down a little bit. It also has that extort payoff if we end up with infinite mana. And if we can't do the Alesha thing, we are playing a lot of reanimation cards. We're playing Honest to God Reanimate. We're playing Unearth, which I think is a really useful card in this deck because a lot of our creatures are going to be that 3 CMC or less. The likelihood that we're not hitting on an Unearth is slim to none. We are playing Savine's Reclamation for just general value because why not? And Victimize. Victimize, I think, is a really useful card in this because if you want to get your 2-card combo out, all you need to do is sacrifice. Again, we're using Alesha in ways that Alesha doesn't necessarily have to do combat. Get Alesha out of here, get my 2-card combo, move on with my day. Angel's Grace is in here. I know, TK, you mentioned it in yours. Really solid card, really seeing a lot more prevalence. I also, not just because we're stopping people from winning the game on top of us, we're playing ad-naus. I want my whole deck in my hand. In terms of lands, we are on 28 lands. Some notable includes in here are Arena of Glory. It's a new red land from Modern Horizons 3. It enters tapped unless you control a mountain, which we're playing all the fetches under the sun. We're able to get that pretty easily. It taps for red, or you can pay red, tap, exert it to add 2 red mana. If mana is spent on a creature spell, that creature gains haste. So if we want to go to combat with Alesha the turn she comes out, that's really useful. I am on 2 of the Surveil land. I will kind of just go ahead and pass it off to you guys. What do you think? Or what questions do you have, if any?
Yeah, it looks pretty solid. I can't lie. One of the ones that I saw, one of the cards I saw that I was very happy with was Pitiless Plunderer. Just another way to kind of accrue some value throughout the game. Whenever your creature dies, you're going to make a treasure artifact. That's very nice. It's replacing all your little guys that are dying with more mana to cast other guys. The Gravecrawler Warren Soul Trader loop is a really cool loop. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
If you have Pitiless Plunderer out, you are also netting mana. However, you do need that Blood Artist effect to consistently do the loop infinite amount of times. So It might be more of a win more in that, but my brain latches onto that and says, that's cool. I like that.
What about you, TK?
Yeah, no, I love it. I'm upset that I didn't even think about Timna. And that's my only thing. I said, yeah, Timna sure is a 2-2. Yeah, you sure are attacking already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's my take. Everything else looks great, July. Amazing.
TK said, "You idiot! Dumb idiot! Why?"
Literally.
Hard cut to post credit scene of this episode where TK's like doing the Patrick in SpongeBob episode where he's like beating himself up.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I literally was like looking at it and I'm like, what? Yeah, Timna, that's really great. I'm cutting one of these idiots. Like,
Get him out of here.
Immediately.
But yeah, other than that, I have no notes. This is an awesome list, dude.
Mm-hmm. So we've gone ahead and discussed amongst ourselves, put our idiot brain cells together, did a little boxing match in the ring, bang, bang, boom, and decided we think the best list to run in the next Idiot Gauntlet series is going to be July's list. We have gone ahead and made some cuts that we did not necessarily like or thought could be replaced with better cards, and I think we have 7 slots.
Seven cuts, 7 slots that we can fill in. I was thinking I want to just pull from your guys' list for some of these includes. I do think I want to put in the, let's see, not Leon. Yeah, Leon and Relic Order. The Animate Dead loop. Just because,
I was going to say, you're already running Necromancy and Animate Dead, so just having another way to do infinite death and ETB triggers sounds pretty good to me.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and throw that in there.
If we're doing that, we might want to focus a little more on those Blood Artist effects. So we could throw in Ellis Kerr and Marionette Master. Maybe even Kambal to like do those ETB. Well, Kambal wouldn't trigger with Leon and Relic Order, but
it will do the dual caster things though.
It will do it with dual caster and dockside effects or Tibet effects, doubling up on ETBs. I think that's very strong. Like when it came up in TK's list, I was like, dang, all right. That's a strong card. I kind of wish I thought about that.
Yeah, it's not only is it just a great value piece, but I mean, not only is it a payoff for the dual caster stuff, but it is just a phenomenal value piece. Oh, it triggers twice with Delny.
Oh yeah, that's super funny. There's so many cards like that though. Like Timna triggers twice with Delny, like all of that stuff. It's like really cool.
Yeah, Delny is a goofy card.
So many creatures you just don't expect that are like what Delny cares about. Toughness
Power 2 or less.
Power 2 or less. There's so many.
Literally the exact same as Alesha. Yeah. One card that I think is really interesting. We were talking about Soul Partition. I think one meta call that I see a lot of people talking about is moving away from Soul Partition and going to Touch. Mainly because Touch's channel ability is the exact same cost as Soul Partition and does it without casting a card. And with you being in Mardu, you're not necessarily most interactive on the stack. So you go Soul Partition on a very important piece you need gone, and they get rid of it, then or counter it, then there's not much you can do. Versus a channel ability, it gets rid of it, and they just kind of have to sit there.
That's a really good call, especially since as I was describing when I was first talking about Soul Partition, I just needed gone for a turn. Touch does the same thing.
Yeah, and if you hold it in your hand and you just have it, you can also just hard cast it for 3 mana and get rid of it for longer than a turn if you need it.
Yeah, that's a good call. That's a really good call.
Yeah, these channel abilities, man, I don't know what they were thinking.
It's really bad, dude.
They were thinking, let's do something stupid.
Yeah.
On that topic, do you guys have any suggestions on how else to get rid of those problematic stacks pieces?
If we think about it, the stacks pieces that are stopping us for the most part are going to be Grafdigger's Cage, Weathered Runestone. Not a lot of creatures really care about graveyard shenanigans.
Rest in peace if anyone's on like a stacks game plan.
Yeah,
Dothy Voidwalker is pretty bad.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think about Dothy. Oh
yeah.
Dothy's rough.
Yeah, Dothy also sucks for Dihada specifically because it makes it so that it never hits the graveyard. Dihada needs the cards to go to the graveyard, which really sucks. So that's why I thought about it so much.
Interesting. Well, we're on a couple different other creature removals. We've got Path. We've got Swords. No? Path got Swords?
Other way around. We're actually
Other
not
way
on
around?
Path. We are on Swords.
Okay, that makes sense. On the vein of like a 3-to-1 comparison, right? We're worried a little bit more about the Weathered Runestones, Grafdiggers, Rest in Peace. I think Wear and Tear is pretty good. It's got the versatility of being able to do either or both, which is pretty nice if we're in the worst pot imaginable and there's a Rest in Peace and a Grafdiggers and they're just looking at you like, what you gonna do? It's like, I'm gonna pay 4 mana.
Nothing. If for nothing else, it's 3 mana, hit the Grafdiggers with a Weathered Runestone, and hit a Rhystic Study.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Wear and Tear has legs.
Yeah, I actually really like that. That's a good call right there.
I like that a lot. Yeah, all my homies hate Rhystic Study.
Get him out of here.
Terrible card. Awful.
Who needs blue anyways?
Play a Consphinx instead.
Yeah.
All my homies hate Consphinx too. That was wild. That was a little sus.
I guess we're not homies. I love that stupid Sphinx.
That stupid cat.
Big dumb cat. We were just talking about big dumb cats, and here you go.
The last card I think I want to try, and I saw it in Chris's list that I think is really neat, is Key to the City. Another way to protect Alesha, another way to fill up that yard to get Alesha going. I don't remember. It has all second line attacks, but I don't remember if it's...
The second is drawing a card. Just another way to like kind of keep some cards in our hand.
Yeah. But definitely that just free tap, fill the graveyard, get Alesha through.
Exactly.
So I think
he's good.
Yeah. I'm hearing no opposition, so
No.
I'm going to put it in. Alrighty, so that puts us at 100 cards. That puts us at a playable deck. So I think it's ready for the gauntlet, guys.
All right, those are my favorite words.
Gauntlet. Sharkmate, hoo-ha.
Awesome. And
yeah. Wonderful transition. Thank you guys so much for being here with us. That has been another episode of Idiot Brewing Company. I've been TK. That's been Chris. That's been July. We love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the list. Let us know what you think is going to happen on the gauntlet. And tune in next week for the ultimate beatdown of this grandma. Take care, everybody. Peace.